The Minecraft coaster has been confirmed. We know what roller coaster and ride is going to be in its area. And today I'm going to show you everything we know so far, as well as what could be in this brand new Minecraft area at Chessington World of Adventures. Okay, so starting off, if you didn't watch my previous video where I was talking about this brand new Minecraft coaster, basically Merlin Entertainments, the owners of Chessington World of Adventures and a bunch of other theme parks, of course, they trademarked the slogan "Adventures Made Real." But little did we know that actually a bunch of planning documents were already released, just kind of hiding there. And I'm really sorry, I don't know who to credit to who found all these planning documents, but I have had a look through all of them. And I mean, I've looked through all of the planning documents. I've spent hours looking through all of it to make sure that we've not missed anything. And well, the first major thing to tell you, if you weren't already aware, basically this area is going to be replacing the Wild Asia area of the, current theme park. And although it's going to be a brand new roller coaster, there's also going to be a brand new ride, a very immersive indoor ride experience, which I'll talk about in just a little minute. They are still keeping Cobra, which is the current Disko ride that is in the theme park in that area. But it is getting some new theming, which we'll talk about in just a second. But first, I just want to quickly talk about this brand new roller coaster, because obviously that is the most exciting part of this. And well, I'd say the part that I'm personally most excited for is the fact that this is going to be an Intamin multi-dimensional coaster, which, to my knowledge, we don't have any in the UK, other than, I guess, 13, but that's not really a multi-dimensional coaster. Yeah. So what does that actually mean? What is a multi-dimensional coaster? Well, basically, it's a roller coaster that can do a bunch of fun stuff like drop tracks, switch tracks, turntables, motion tables, stuff like that. And also, although it's not on all of the models, it does also mean that the train can spin. It also features launchers and just a ton of stuff, basically. A great example of one of these is Uncharted at Portaventura World, which I know is very universally hated, but the coaster itself is really, really cool, to be fair. And well, we are going to talk more about the coaster. There's so much to go into with that, but I do just want to talk about the area first to get that out of the way. And well, as I mentioned before, there's going to be a brand new immersive flat ride, which when I first saw that, I was like, what's an immersive flat ride? What do you mean? But basically, I'll throw up the photos that they use as examples on screen right here. These are two rides at different other theme parks, with them both being kind of teacup sort of ride. This one right here is Antarctica Empire of the Penguin at SeaWorld Orlando. That was a bit of a mouthful, not gonna lie. But yeah, from some of the planning documents, which I'll throw a photo up on screen, it looks like it's going to be some sort of teacups ride, but this is completely encased in a building. And we can actually see this on some of the plans and models that have been posted in this planning permission, where you can clearly see this is a completely indoor ride, which I've got to say, it's very interesting. It's going to be something kind of unique to the UK, I guess. And to be fair, Chessington have done quite a good job with theming flat rides, Croc Drop, for example. And we'll kind of stick it on the theme of flat rides. Let's also talk about the second gate, which will be going straight under the relocated Disko ride. Now, this new Disko is going to have a bit of a structure around it. It's going to have some sort of theming. We don't know what that is right now. Honestly, there's not too much to talk about that, other than it's got some kiosks attached to it, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I guess we'll just have to wait to see what the theming actually looks like on this. But the area will feature a second entrance gate to that area, which I believe Wild Asia doesn't have. And that entrance of going under the Disko, I'm sure, will be really, really sick. Well, more sick, because, that's the ride at Flamingo Land. Okay, I'll stop. And well, those are the new rides in the area, but let's actually talk a bit more about this coaster. What's actually going to be featured on this coaster? Okay, so right now, we don't actually know everything that's going to be on this coaster. Obviously, there's not been any, actual layout that's been posted. They've been very clear to kind of hide that in a bunch of the planning documents, which, fair enough, but we don't even have, footer plan or anything like that, especially because this is an indoor ride. But it's believed that the ride's going to have some sort of swing launch, some sort of switch, turntable drop element, something like that. And then, well, another major part that we actually do know something about rides here is that there's going to be this massive outdoor turn. So although most of the ride does appear to be indoors, and we'll talk a bit more about that in just a little bit, basically there is one big corner that's going to be completely outside. And this is going to have a major theming element around it. Now, a lot of people seem to be very confused about this. They're like, what could this theming element mean? I'm not sure, because to be fair, in a lot of the planning documents, it is depicted as a big cylinder on top of a smaller cylinder, but we already know what it's going to be, I'm not gonna lie. Because, well, I'll talk about this a little bit later, but in this concept art right here, you can very clearly see that there's got a big island sort of structure, big bit of terrain that goes in the middle of this turn, which does kind of match the dimensions, even though it obviously doesn't match the exact shape of what the planning documents show. And to go alongside this, in this little plaza area, we're also going to have a bunch of nice trees. We obviously have no idea if the trees are going to be really Minecrafty. My guess, probably not. They're probably going to be just actual trees, seeing as, that's more environmentally friendly. That's kind of a key aspect of a bunch of developments these days at theme parks. But it is very exciting, because this is going to offer some really cool views, especially if, what I just said, there's going to be a big, massive, kind of structure in the middle of this turn. There's going to be some really cool perspectives of the coaster. And then attached to the ride building, we also have some spaces for food and beverages, which will most likely be some sort of restaurant, I'm guessing, / quick service. We obviously don't know exactly what that'll be yet. It just is labeled as food and beverage. And there's also a gigantic retail space, which I'm guessing will be a very big Minecraft shop, so they can sell lots and lots of toys. Actually, that's going to be something quite interesting. Minecraft theme park merch. That will be very very weird, like. And then, of course, you got your stuff like there's multiple toilets around the area, some in the food and beverage, some actually, you know, public ones more. And then finally, a nice sensory room. Good stuff. Nice to see that included, I guess. But all right, I think we've actually gone through everything in the area, and I've kept you guys waiting long enough. Let's actually talk about this coaster here. So first of all, we actually have an illustration of the station, which I'm not gonna lie, this is so cool. And in this illustration, you can, of course, see that there's going to be a double-sided baggage drop. Possibly going to be lockers like Fly has if you've ever been on that ride at Fantasialand. Obviously, it could just be a pass-through like Rita or Stealth or, you know, a bunch of other rides around the UK. But as well as that, we can also see the exit, which, by the way, this ride is going to be very staircase-heavy. Like, Jesus. Fantasialand called it wants its planning back. What is this, Chessington? Why is there so many stairs? To get up to the station, you have to walk upstairs. To get out of the station, you have to walk downstairs, then walk up more stairs, then walk down more stairs. What on earth, man? But then in this exit area, you also have obviously the other side of the actual baggage drop where you can collect your stuff, a nice little photo area, and then you walk down some stairs into the actual kind of retail area. And well, the queue line as well, it's going to be partly indoors and outdoors. We do actually have a full plan of what this queue line is going to be, and it is quite long, to be fair. Hopefully there's going to be some cut-throughs in there, because there's not going to be a fun queue line to walk all the way through every single time, but I guess we'll see. And the entrance to this queue line will actually be directly in the center of that kind of turn. And then after you go through all the indoor section, it pops you back out, you walk up the stairs, which is actually along the front of the facade, which is quite interesting, I've got to say. Normally when people are designing rides, they don't like to show a long queue, but that's going to be quite visible unless they kind of cover that up. But I also hope they don't, because that'd be a really cool view of the area and the coaster if you can actually see from there. Yeah, interesting choice. And then, yeah, well, you go then into the actual baggage drop, into the station after you go back inside, and yeah, lovely stuff. We literally have no idea on how this queue line is going to be themed. We don't know anything like that, so I guess for now, we'll just have to wait and see. And now on to the most divisive part, which people are probably going to argue about in the comments. They're probably going to argue about until they get on the coasters right here. But what is the layout going to be like? Now, we have very little idea, although there is this photo right here, which kind of depicts two spikes on either end, a little helix, and of course, the outdoor section, as well as a very long straight piece of track, which could very much be a lawn. But now, the thing is, none of this lines up with the station, and we do have some sketches of the station, like I said before, and it shows this kind of section, which is raised up. It's not super easy to describe, but basically, this part where it says there's a void over it will be, let's say, 2 stories tall, and then the area that's colored in this brownish color will only be 1 story tall, which is on the 2nd floor. So obviously, under there is room for some coasters, some queue stuff like that, but there's not room for big spikes, big, you know, kind of airtime hills, stuff like that in that area. So what leads me to believe is that the coaster will dispatch from the top of the station right here and have some sort of little dark ride indoor section right here. That's just kind of slow moving, explains kind of a bit of a storyline, gets you into the theme. And then from there, I don't really know. I will throw a bit of a sketch up on screen of what that kind of cut through that we saw before would look like in a 3D sort of top-down sense. And as you can see, that all does make sense, although I don't know if we can take this completely correctly, because it obviously isn't a coaster layout. It's more of just an idea of where the coaster track will go, maybe. But this layout does fit in perfectly with the actual queue if I throw it up on screen. The only problem is how does it get from the station to this layout? We have no idea. And well, here's a really nice sketch that Owen Holt on Twitter, which, by the way, his link will be down below, did on Twitter. And I mean, yeah, this makes sense in my eyes, but at the same time, it doesn't line up with the actual layout that we've been given, and like I said, that layout does make sense. So the problem is right here is that I agree with Owen Holt, but also the planning permission kind of contradicts that, so I think it's going to be a mix of the two, but it's really hard to work out what this layout will look like. I mean, I've tried my best, and I gave up because it is impossible. But just to give you a quick rundown of how this would actually work right here, it would dispatch from the station from the top, like I said before. It would go for a bit of a dark ride section, which makes sense to me. And then it comes to a bit of a turntable slash side drop, which would go to the right first, basically up that nice big spine. And then it would go backwards, back to that turntable slash side drop, and then it would go left to the motion table, which basically a motion table is just something that can rotate in a bunch of different ways and basically tilt in, yeah, a ton of ways. This would make sense with the storage area so that the actual trains could be, you know, rotated into the storage area. From there, you'll either fall backwards or whatever sort of way down this big spike right here, and then into the actual ride layout that we know so far. That includes the outdoor section, then you go into this little kind of helix-ish sort of thing right here, but it's not a complete helix. And then you go up again to kind of the 2nd floor to the switch track, where you then switch backwards, go backwards, then into that kind of brakes and ending part right there, and then into the station. And something to keep in mind is obviously there's not really any backwards or forwards because the trains can rotate, so you can be going sideways, you can be going backwards, you can be going forwards. It depends on what Intamin want to do with this right here. And well, there could even be something secret that is completely new to this coaster that we've not seen on any other coaster, because, well, the thing is with Intamin dimensional coasters, Intamin just pull wacky shit sometimes. But at the end of the day, we don't know. We can only theorize for now, but let me know what, kind of sketch you think is more accurate. Mine or Owen's right here, or if you have a bit more of an idea of what's going to be happening on this ride, maybe. Although something that we can definitely confirm from this photo right here is some of the track. We definitely know that these spikes are going to be in places right here, and I feel like that motion table is very possible. There are some photos which depict the roof being actually a little bit higher where that spike is, where we know there's definitely a spike. And then where that motion table is, that's quite a big area, quite a big box, even bigger than what would be necessary for a spike, so it would make sense for something like a motion table to be there. And then from these sketches right here, we can also see that the ride area is going to be split up into actually multiple different rooms, which is something that was criticized heavily with Uncharted, I believe, where basically the different scenes weren't really separated, so you could just see everything quite well. And now these rooms could just be completely pitch black rooms with some minimal theming, some, kind of small theming elements, something like Walking Dead the ride, or of course Uncharted once again. But you know what, we can always hope and pray that there'll be some physical sets. Hopefully, hey. Although, you know what, I wouldn't get your hopes up too much, because this entire lands area is £20 million, which, by the way, is about $25 million US, which seems like a lot. I mean, $25 million, that is a lot of money, right? Although once you put it up against rides like Uncharted, which had a very, very similar sort of budget, and that is just for one roller coaster, not even an entire area with 2 rides, playgrounds, food and beverage, retail shops, all that sort of stuff. It does seem a little low. But the thing that we do have to obviously consider, Minecraft is a very easy theme to kind of do, I guess. Because at the end of the day, it's all blocky. There's not really a lot of complex stuff. I hope they don't go down the route of cheap vinyls and stuff like that, but that would make it a much cheaper project and would really lower that budget that they actually need for the ride. But considering the fact that there's that immersive dark ride and, it's just... it doesn't seem super high, so I wouldn't get your hopes up too much for a bunch of physical sets and stuff like that. And other than that, we should also probably talk about the press release that Merlin put out with some nice little images right here, some nice little renders. And in this concept image right here, we can actually see the land's main portal, as well as the coaster in the background and some of the theming, which I do have to say, looks amazing. And this is also what's kind of worrying me, is that this exterior looks so good, so is the actual coaster's interior going to be very good? I don't know. Obviously, this doesn't really help us with the ride's facades or stuff like that, but, I mean, to be fair, this looks incredibly impressive, and if it actually looks like this when the actual thing is built, that's going to be actually really, really cool. This area will look so, so cool. And then I won't talk about it too much here, because I probably want to make a whole separate video on this, but there has also been some concept art for some Minecraft accommodation, which is believed to, of course, be in Chessington World of Adventures, although maybe even a second location in the US as well. And speaking of the US, there's also supposed to be a second attraction, and by attraction, I don't mean accommodation. I mean attraction, as in a land, a entire theme park maybe. And we know literally nothing on this so far, other than the fact that the overall budget for everything that I've just mentioned is £85 million, or $110 million. So a lot of budget for all of that. And the fact that this Minecraft area in Chessington is only going to be 20 million, that leaves over quite a lot of money. 65 million for 2 accommodations and an attraction. That's a lot. Like, even if they spend only 20 million on the attraction in the US, that's only going to bring it down to 45 million, which you don't need 45 million for some accommodation. So I'm just saying that attraction in the US could either be multiple different lands or an entire second gate to one of their Legoland theme parks, or maybe even just an entire theme park. I mean, that'd be crazy, to be fair. If the US gets an entire Minecraft theme park and we only get a single Minecraft land for 20 million, I'm gonna be upset, guys. But well, I believe that's everything that we know so far, at least as much as I can research. This video took a lot of time to actually research and fact check and just check everything was actually right here. So if you did enjoy it and if you found this video helpful, please do leave a like and subscribe. I really would appreciate that. And of course, let me know down below if you got any ideas about this Minecraft area, any theories of what could be in it. And other than that, YouTube seems to think you'll like this video that's popping up on the screen right now, so why not go give it a try? And well, other than that, there's nothing else to say except from, bye.